Coming at you from Scratch and Wolf Studio. It's that time again to rage across the internet. It's your favorite Werewolf the Apocalypse podcast. And we're back again. I'm your host, Porter. Sitting across from me, my faithful sidekick, Mr. Daniel Tyson.
Hey, everybody.
And joining us today, the rest of the Dream Chasers, CJ and M. How the hell you guys doing?
Well, pretty good, yo.
Doing very well.
Look at that. Cast reunion. It's like it was only last week.
Because it was? Welcome back, everybody!
Yeah, it's nice to be back doing regular episodes again, right?
Yes.
We have no idea when this one's going to air. We're playing roulette with it. Timeoverse is great. But, you know, we're having fun, you know, getting everybody back here. Feels the right way to do it.
The Timeoverse roulette game?
Why not?
Okay.
Fucking, we're going to reopen the store. We'll put that on there. We'll have to figure out what that means, but...
That's some serious roulette, dude.
That is not a promise, even a little bit.
What's it called? Just a series of like 6 shot glasses. You fill 5 of them up with water, 1 with vodka.
Oh, I've played that game before, and it's not fun when every one of them is actually vodka. Or it's 5 of vodka and 1 of tequila.
It never actually happened, but that was the plan for my band.
Which band?
The band.
What?
Oh,
I was briefly in a band. This was like 20 years ago. We were not any good.
Pop funk.
I didn't know this.
I don't even know what to. We were the good Robot Usses.
Oh my god! How do I not know about this?
I don't know. I don't really talk about it. Looks like we weren't significant. It wasn't like we had a demo and we were going to make it. No, we weren't going to make it big. Fucking, we had a couple songs.
You were the singer,
Yeah, I was. We had a plan. It never went anywhere. I got bored.
I mean, that's usually how they go.
Well, like, it was one of those things, right? Like, everyone would come over in for band practice.
And
but
you
like,
guys would just bullshit and drink.
No! But that's all we would do is band practice. And I'm like, well, how we used to bullshit and drink. I want to go back to bullshit and drinking. You're taking this too seriously. I want to fuck around. And so that's why it didn't, you know. Also probably talent, but that's not really the point. But that was the thing.
Just didn't go far enough to get a straw.
Right. Exactly. Now we have straws. But no, that was the plan. Is we'd have the, you know, the one was, you know, and the rest were water. And then the person who got the booze, that they had a song. That was the one. Is going to help with the set list.
Oh my god.
They won that night.
They won.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nope. I remember that was the game. It was usually, yeah. 4 of them were vodka, 1 of them was tequila. And they said 1 of them was water, or sorry, they said 1 of them was vodka and the other 4 were water, but it was actually, yeah.
Yeah, we were really going to have water, and then...
That's a cruel and unusual trick.
Oh, it was very cruel and unusual. And then they did to me at my bachelor party, too, and that was even worse. Like I'm already drunk. Just give me some water so I can sober up and we can go to the next place.
That's hilarious.
And they would give me a small glass of water, but it wasn't water. It was more vodka. Like,
that's dangerous.
Yeah. I mean, at least it wasn't tequila, or else you'd be practicing teleportation.
I mean, he made it anyway.
Only 5 tequila.
Yeah. I'm here, so I
only
made
5
it.
tequila to go from where you are to a jail cell. How you got there, who knows?
That's good.
We got a show.
I mean, we've already got a show. Look at this.
Woohoo.
So welcome to Rage Across the Internet. If this is your first show, you certainly stepped in it, didn't you?
Oh, yikes. I'm stepping in what you're laying down.
Oof.
Yikes. Gross.
I was going to say, I believe the phrase is, I'm smelling what you're stepping in.
Even better.
Or I'm picking up what you're putting down?
Nope. I don't want to pick that up.
I get a glove, it's fine. So this is your first show, yeah. You know, Rage Across the Internet. This is a show where we talk about all aspects of Werewolf the Apocalypse. And then other stuff also.
Yeah. We like to entertain, we like to make jokes, and have fun.
Now, coming back here off our hiatus, we have a pretty light day. This is just fun for us.
Nope.
But shockingly, we have a backlog of questions.
Yeah.
Quite a few.
Yeah, well, we said it. Like, the people love the junk drawer, and you guys send in the questions. And we know we did a junk drawer right before we left, but, like, you guys sent in a ton more questions.
Well, here's the other thing, though, is right before we went,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we say the hiatus, but we're still running the Let's Play.
Yeah.
But that was also the end of 2023.
Mm-hmm.
So it has been 3 to 4 months.
Yes.
No, it has been 4 months.
4 months.
Yeah. It's been 4 months since we did one. So I think that's fine.
It's fine. And again, we had a ton of questions.
Like if you're listening sequentially, that's maybe a problem. But not for me, so it's cool.
Not a problem.
You know.
Yeah, we gotta knock the rust off.
Right, and also, this is CJ&M here. That's the new thing,
Yeah.
so shut up.
Enjoy this, pricks.
Right? Speaking of, we want to thank all of our supporters.
Oh my.
Who sounds like the bigger asshole right now, you or me?
I don't know, but that was a great segue.
Yes. Thank you, supporters.
No, to all of our backers, thank you so much. And if you like what we do, you can be one of those. You just head over to our Ko-Fi. That's ko-fi.com/rage across the internet, where you could join the prestigious rank of our backers. Got several tiers there with various rewards. If you're not in a position to help us out financially, we understand, but know that if you are, that money is going to the right places. The casino,
appreciated.
mostly.
The casino.
Oh my gosh, Porter.
No, we're kidding. We're kidding.
And into the one-armed bandit.
Jaeger Gorfist?
Wow.
Heyo. No, but if you're not in a place to help us out financially, we completely understand. Times are tight and money's a real thing. You work hard for it. You can help, however, in other ways. Word of mouth is important. Ratings, Spotify and iTunes. And if you can give us a rate, if there's an amount of stars, give us the most amount. It helps with the algorithm.
Yeah. It's not an ego thing. It's just helping us.
We don't write the
around.
algorithm. We're not in charge of that, but we know that helps. So,
Your part to help us appease the machine overlords.
that's,
That too.
man.
Yeah, I hate you have to say it, but yeah.
You say it that way. And it's like, help us support the Weaver. Great.
Well, you gotta use the Weaver to get the word out.
It's true.
A necessary evil, if you will.
The word is out. Help.
Her webs are spread everywhere.
It's turning into a very different show.
Yep. Likes, shares, reviews, all those are a big deal, and they are super appreciated if you can.
Yeah, you're right. It is a big deal, and you guys are a big deal. So thank you again for your support. Thank you for listening at all, and let's get back to it.
Yeah.
So Junk Drawer Diaries, part... Let's call it 6. Just fuck it. It's 6 now. Part 6. It's like Leonard. The rest are classified. This is part 6.
Junk Drawer Classified. Part 6.
Part 6.
Okay.
It's part 6 now. There you go.
All right. We're going to start with Ghostpaw.
Ghostpaw, who, by the way, was formerly the heavyweight champ of questioning. He's been dethroned this time.
Yeah.
So,
what the hell, dude?
Step it up, man. What are you doing?
Yeah, Home Slice. He had 60 questions in the last,
He had his own corner the last few episodes.
Yeah, and so if he's first, it's saying something.
Nah, because the rest aren't in order, a number of questions.
Yeah, I know. No, but
it's fine.
Step it up, Home Slice. That's all I gotta say.
You're doing great. Don't worry.
First one from Ghostpaw is, what is the best advice for a new storyteller from each of you? Mine is to make things morally ambiguous and make them hate someone one day, impress them the next, and then love them, but not in the litany kind of way.
All right. CJ?
I gotta say, probably the biggest one is sometimes it's best just to keep it simple. You don't always have to run your players through life-threatening situations. The world doesn't need to be ending. If you keep doing that over and over again, then you end up in the supernatural problem. Some days you just gotta go clear out a couple leeches. Or do a milk run for the sept. Maybe that leads to something, maybe it doesn't. Maybe it just leads to one of your pack getting maced by a guy at Walmart.
I'm totally
That's
with you there.
happened.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
I feel like there's a story there already.
Em, what you got?
I would say definitely keeping a balance of making sure the players feel like they're strong and powerful whilst not always feeling that way. It's always nice to feel like there's a challenge while not feeling like you're being underfoot constantly. I'm not sure if that makes sense to you guys.
No, I understand.
Oh, sounds good.
Yeah, as a player, I like a nice balance between feeling like I'm doing a lot of really cool things while at the same time, like, kind of failing to do those cool things at the same time.
I guess for me, because I'm not a storyteller, but I would say for advice, I've said it probably 50 times before, you're going to get out what you put into it. And that goes for players as well as storytellers. As simple as I can make it, I guess.
I want to say at the end of the day, it's so important to make sure your character work is there. You know, if you don't have a supporting cast, you know, full of your NPCs in your location that speak to the players, then it's really easy to get people to fall off. You know, make sure you get out of Cardboard Town, you make those characters as real as possible so that your players can form connections to them, which will be so helpful, not only in crafting future stories, but in creating a real sense of loss or stakes if something should happen to some of those characters. You get that character work in, you have provided motivation.
Yeah, I definitely
Yeah, I
like
like
that
that.
because that makes the most sense most of the time.
It's a little bit of extra work, but it ultimately goes a good long way.
Agreed. All right, next question from Ghostpaw. What types of spirits can be kin fetches?
Well, kin fetches. Like kin fetch is the type of spirit. If the question at that point is what does a kin fetch look like or how can it materialize, I think all bets are off. Just have fun with that, I think.
That's
Yes.
fair.
I've never gone into a lot of detail into, what exactly a kin fetch is or looks like. Because ultimately it doesn't come up that often.
Yeah, it's such a simple one that it's not necessary, probably.
Yeah.
I thought that they took on the form of the tribal totem.
I don't remember reading that, but I like that idea.
I feel like I did read that somewhere. I'm not sure where. But yeah.
I'm willing to believe that. I'm just saying I don't. I don't remember reading that.
Or at least it's like associated with the tribe that kinfolk is born into.
Well, and then that's the thing too, is I figured it would be the tribe of the person who did the right to attach the kin fetch. Because otherwise you don't have a tribe until you're accepted by a totem.
Yeah.
But I like that idea of it being,
Mm-hmm.
I said, I believe you read it somewhere. I don't believe I have. So I'm hearing that for the first time. I kind of like that idea.
Yeah, if I'm remembering what I read, they take on like the form of the tribe that the kinfolk was born into. And then all Guru can see kinfetches, which can get a little dicey, especially with being able to see the kinfetches of Black Spiral kinfolk. So you could like take a Black Spiral untainted Black Spiral kinfolk and redeem them, but the same goes vice versa. Black Spirals could steal a kinfolk of a Gaian tribe and corrupt them.
Interesting.
No idea where I read that though. So
Even if you didn't, it's still
interesting thought.
it's absolutely an interesting thought. Kind of a cool idea. All right, then the next question. When it comes to healing, how long would it take for a hand to regrow, assuming the normal rest times?
Well, removing outside
Limits.
forces,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's not a battle scar. No one's using Mother's Touch, just all by itself. I'm just going to spitball. Because normally I would do let that time be a gap. right? I
Yeah.
just fucking fast forward past that time. I mean, maybe like a couple of weeks.
Okay.
And, 'cause I suddenly I'm loving this idea of having like a shriveled fucking baby hand for a little bit. Because like it's not like boom, your hand's back normal. No, it's got to like slowly, like a little fucking sproutling. Like you get a little baby nub for a bit. And
A little bit of a Deadpool moment.
Yeah, I think that was like a plot point in the first Deadpool movie.
oh, was
Yeah.
it?
Yeah. Porter
Or a
is
gag that they did.
he refuses to watch it, so.
Yeah, you're talking to like the one person who didn't see Deadpool.
Yeah, that was like a little gag that they had.
Mhm.
My answer was going to be however long it took Deadpools to grow back.
Fair enough. There you go.
Which is, I was trying to avoid saying Deadpool because I know Porter's not going to watch it.
I'm not watching Deadpool. It's not happening. Which is funny because I love Miranda Baccarin and I love Ryan Reynolds,
Mm-hmm.
and I am very happy for Deadpool fans that they gave him a proper costume.
Yep.
I just don't like Deadpool, and that's not going to change. And so, why would I watch a movie on a character I hate?
Yeah, that's fun. That's fine.
have your
I mean,
reasons,
nobody's going to
right.
force you.
No, exactly. Like I don't wish it ill will. I'm glad it did well. This is not for me.
No,
Yes.
I get it. You have your reasons. I know what they are, but
Yeah.
they're not for this show.
No, not for today. We got enough to do.
True.
I'll go on that rant. That's fine.
Yeah, no,
Let's lose some viewers.
No, we don't want that. But
Yeah, right.
that's a different story. And as much as I love Deadpool, I understand your feelings behind it.
Yep.
Okay, so I guess it's probably more of a. It's probably going to be a little bit of a time, but probably still ultimately up to storyteller.
Well, yeah.
Okay. And
Like there might be a chart in changing ways that I forgot about, but
yeah, probably.
I mean, it's inconsistent, the rules on all that shit between the books, so fucking...
Yeah, I get it. And damn you, Ghostball, for this last question. But fine. Does Danny's mom ever listen to the show?
Only when she gets lonely.
Oh my god, I hate you.
We'll see you tonight, sweetie.
Oh, fuck off. I'll say no. I'll give the right answer and no. My mom has probably never listened to the show, probably will never listen to the show, and even though I've told her, yeah, Mom, I'm on a podcast, you should listen to it, even though you have no fucking clue what I'm talking about, it'd be cool if you want to support your son. Yeah, sure, I can do that, and then it never happens. And now I can say,
Not that
hey,
she
Mom.
tells you.
Right?
And now I'm going to say, Mom, we talked about you on the show. You should listen to it. And she still won't.
She's gonna fuck up one of these days. Like he's gonna be visiting. She's like, it's like your father said in the air last week. Oops.
Oh my.
I knew it. As soon as
Great question.
As soon as I saw this question was on here, I knew it was going to come up. All right, here we go. Next set. These are from Operator. What's your storyteller dangerous don't list? Things that are just poorly considered or a bad idea to run?
Well, I'll go last on that. Let's go back, CJ, because alphabetical order, right?
For us to, or me as a storyteller to run my own personal dangerous don't lists, I'm not entirely sure.
All right.
Yeah, this is one of those that I can't. I need some time to think.
Fair enough. Wouldn't be any fun if we gave people in advance. Actually, before we brought CJ and M, before you two joined the session today, Danny asked, did they get a copy of these questions too? I'm like, nah. I don't even have a copy of them. Danny's got the lone copy of the collected questions.
Which is kind of ridiculous. Why I didn't even see that Ghostball wrote that down there. Does Danny's mom listen?
I'm surprised you didn't admit it. Also, I'm not.
A little bit of both.
Right, because he's like, I don't want this on the air, but that's going to be a good answer.
Yeah, I knew it.
Yeah.
How about you, Em? What's part of the dangerous don't list that you're just not going to run? as a storyteller?
Like stories I would not run?
Up to you.
Or just like things I would not do as a storyteller?
Up to you.
Whatever's in your heart.
Okay. Off the top of my head, if you're trying to like end a game or a chronicle, like permanently, not to be continued again,
Mm-hmm.
leave it ambiguous so that the players can kind of decide their character's fate in all of it. And this is from a player perspective rather than a storyteller perspective, as I've played a lot of like really good games with people that ended in a bit of a disappointing way because it was just, oh, you're all dead. The end. It's a little disappointing compared to leaving it a little bit more ambiguous.
Well, I think at that point, if I can hop on there,
Sure.
I think maybe the way to look at that would be don't kill people off because you don't know how to end a story.
Yes. Those are the words right there.
That makes sense.
Which, by the way, is a lesson we could have learned from Clerks, which is a movie that came out like 30 years ago. I'm giving some stink eye around the nation. That's true. The original ending of Clerks,
Mm-hmm.
Dante, he's closing up and someone comes in and shoots him, robs the store.
That was the original ending?
It's the original ending.
I didn't know that.
That's it? That's just how it ends?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, that's disappointing. Lackluster. There's no...
Exactly. Right? It was,
There's no wondering.
Randall, you're closed. He throws him the thing and the credits, instead of the credits rolling, it goes on a couple seconds and someone comes in, could get a pack of cigarettes. He pulls a gun, he shoots Dante, robs the register, and the credits roll. And that was how it was presented at Cannes. And I forget who it was, but one of the big critics, it might have been Weinstein, but I don't know that, came up to Kevin Smith and said, you can't kill your main character just because you don't know how to end a movie. That was the quote. It's an awesome documentary on one of the DVDs for Clerks. Kevin Smith talks about it. This is back when he was talented. So to make that a huge story, but yeah, to add to kind of bolster what I was saying. Yeah, don't kill off your cast, even if it's the last story, just because you don't know how to end the game.
I like that. Okay.
I recently watched a movie called The Wrestler,
That's a good
and I
movie.
think it was surprisingly good. I was a little skeptical going into it because it's not really the genre I typically like. But the way they ended the movie was ambiguous in like a way that was really satisfying.
It can be hard to pull off, though, but I agree.
Yeah.
It's a really good movie.
Is that
Yeah.
is that Mickey Rourke?
Yeah.
Okay.
Him and
Yeah.
Marissa Tomei.
Nice. I've never seen it, but I know of it, so...
No, it's a really good movie.
I would recommend it. It's pretty good, very gut wrenching, nice. It's a good movie. Sad.
Absolutely. And it's
Beautiful.
it's one of those movies, too, and I think Emmy will agree, because like you said, it's not normally... You're kind of... But I think, it's a drama. Right? And I think just by the tone, at face value, it looks like a different movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's like when people who've never seen Rocky get surprised that Rocky isn't a, quote, boxing movie. It's not a movie about boxing, it's a movie with boxing in it.
Yeah.
But at face value, you just assume there's more to it than that. It's like The Wrestler. Very good movie. I agree with them.
Yeah, they left it on the ending, where you could fill in the blanks. Where do we go from here? What happened when, he did his final move?
Back to CJ. You have a dangerous don't list for your storytelling there, buddy?
Obviously, it doesn't have to be a whole list. And
The specific thing that is something that that I had to remind myself of for a while was the whole idea of this sounds like a really good story. Yeah. With The Guilty, I wanted to run my own version of that at one point, but I was finding myself just almost ripping it off beat for beat. And I'm like, that's not exactly how you want to do things. Take the inspiration, don't rip very much off if you can avoid it. But aside from that,
I think that's fair.
when writing a story, don't necessarily make a story dependent on a single character or an overarching chronicle. A story or two, yes, but for a chronicle, it can bite you in the ass. With the Wild West games here on the server, one of the characters was like the big pivotal, like the antagonist of the story was linked to that character. And when the player had to drop from the game, it was one of those like, okay, what do I do with this character and why would they still want to go after the antagonist?
Yeah, that's rough.
Unless I killed them off, and it introduced a few other issues with like, I was at the halfway point in the Chronicle. I'd set everything up, we were getting ready to start paying stuff off and getting ready to go to the ending, and lose that character and one other, and killed off another character because the person wanted to try something different in the next story. And it ultimately killed the game, because I could not write that in a way to make it a good story afterwards. So it killed it off, but got the new game as a fresh start. Don't make it dependent on one character. A story or two, yes, not a Chronicle.
Seems fair enough.
No, it's again, that's good advice.
Yeah.
For me, it's it's kind of stuff we've talked about before. Don't bring back lost tribes. Don't bring back lost breeds. Like, these are already a mistake, and there's further reaching consequences to doing that will change your game. But moreover, there are ways to make your players feel special, or to make those characters special through characterization and through having cool stuff happen to them. They don't have to be the special chosen one, and don't let them, because it waylays the game.
Yeah. They're not the chosen one.
Ever. Right. Again, the game is about that pack, your players, but it doesn't revolve around your pack. They don't have to be the one to pull Excalibur to be...
Mm-hmm.
You can have just as compelling stories about that group on the ground. I point to favorite of mine as Mobile Suit Gundam, that franchise in anime. Is as much as you have your Amuro Ray, with this special, you have the 8th MS team, which is just as interesting, if not more so. And that's a story just about a random platoon. No one's got the mystery secret. No one has the special powers. There's no one ring. These are just normal fucking folk and their adventures. And it's still compelling and interesting and one of the best of the franchise.
Huh.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of grunts.
Yep.
Yes, they're in Gundams, or mobile suits, but they're just grunts.
Yeah, you do not have to be special. You do not have to make the thing to make good stories, compelling stories. Also, thanks, Op.
Yeah. Well, he's got a couple more here.
Well, fine. Then don't thanks yet.
His next question is, what's your favorite werewolf art from books or otherwise? And I'll go first, and I'll say that and I forgot which book it's from.
Off to a good start.
Yeah, I know, but it's there's the Silent Strider with, like, holding the vamp upside down hostage as the sunrise coming up.
That is from the Shadow Lord's book.
That's what I meant, not a Silent Strider. It's
Thief.
Yes. What?
Thief, because that's my answer.
I apologize. Well, out of all the ones that I know of, that one sticks out most in my head. That's fucking awesome.
That's a great piece of art.
That was also one of my answers.
All right, what's it gonna be?
I don't particularly know off the top of my head what, like, my favorite picture is.
Well,
there's a few cool ones.
It just says werewolf art.
I don't visualize things in my brain like you guys. It's hard to pull one of those forward. I do particularly like the pictures of, like, the Banes, though. Like, different types of Banes, how they're represented. I think those are pretty cool.
Okay.
All right.
Well, that's still a good answer.
I like creepy, scary stuff.
You're in the right place. Danny's...
Oh, no, Danny.
Wow.
Oh.
Got him.
Oh my God.
So scared.
I was going to say, like, yeah, you scare me a lot. Oh, that thing. Screw you.
Yeah. So I guess I maybe like the creepy pictures in the Book of the Worm. I do like those creepy ones.
Okay.
Perfectly fair.
I was going to say I actually have two answers. One is a little bit of a cop-out, one that's not.
All right.
I'm going to start off with a cop-out because it's multiple bits of art, but it's the fight scene between Albrecht and Mari. The combat section.
Excellent.
I think that's pretty cool.
the actual, like, single piece of art, it's kind of going off of M's just a little bit. In the 20th edition book where you're going through, I think it's the Fomori section specifically, it's the one where you have just the headshot of the guy with the weird tendrils coming off the side of his head, the jagged teeth, and just the Fomori glyph where his eyes should be.
I'm gonna go look that up right now.
That's pretty rad.
I can get a page number. I have my book.
And while that's happening, I'm going to give a little padding to Danny's answer, which is stolen from me as well, but that's fine. And that is a beautiful piece of Ron Spencer art. I believe it's the chapter 1, it might be chapter 2 cover piece.
Okay.
But yeah, it's gorgeous fucking Ron Spencer art out of the Shadowed Lord revised book. I'll add a couple other pieces that stick to mind. Would be the art for the Nexus Crawler out of the Rage card.
Oh, yeah. Ooh.
That is a personal favorite. I don't think a Nexus Crawler has ever looked better.
I do love that Nexus Crawler.
It's super fucking cool looking, right? And this is a personal thing because it's not, I mean, whatever. But I have always loved the depiction of the black spirals from the comic in the 2nd edition book. That dark gray short hair with the big old bat ears and those square jaws.
That's fair.
Big fan.
Yeah, because I can see them. I see Spirals mainly as that version more than anything else.
Right. And I love the bat nose occasionally too, but not always.
The pointy bat ears, though, I think that sticks out to me the most.
Absolutely. Their totem is Whippoorwill.
Yeah.
Just,
by the way, for you, it's page 431. And for anybody else who wants to look that up.
Well, since it was the...
Don't. He was only talking to M. You guys can't look it up.
Ooh, creepy.
Since it was everybody's answer and everyone else had to give a re-answer, I'm going to also say that...
Okay.
No, I'll say it's just the story of is it Uli?
Uli Brightjaws.
Uli Brightjaws. Yeah, there's some of that. There's an art piece where Fenris and him kind of staring each other down. Fenris is fucking huge, and it's a pretty fucking cool picture.
Yeah, with him on his knees there, and he's got I believe he's got his heart has already been ripped out, I think.
I think so. It's been a while since I've seen it, but...
I remember it's a good piece. It's such a good fucking werewolf art.
Yeah. Everyone else gave a re-answer for this.
It's fine. It's fine.
I feel bad. I just
you can like more than one piece of art.
It's turns out.
Yes, I know.
I will say, there's a really awesome piece. It's rare. It's not from one of the books, but there's this beautiful piece by Paul Way.
Oh, yeah?
Of, It's 3 Garu and Hamid.
Okay. I'm liking this so far.
Yeah, some, I think one's a clown. I don't remember a lot. One's a clown. He's got a bow and this, red hair.
What the fuck?
And there's a dude with one arm. And some badass with a cigarette and a clave. I don't remember where it's from. But...
Well, you said bow, and I was like, wait, he's talking about us. But then you said bow, and I'm thinking an actual bow tie, but a giant red clown one.
We get a couple more backers. We might be able to afford to get that commission. What? We're not. I'm not going to waste money on that.
No. But that was pretty funny. No, agreed. Yeah. Paul Way is
just some beautiful Paul Way art there.
Oh, he's a talented fucking artist.
Thanks, Paul.
Yeah. R.A.I. forever.
Name of our spin-off podcast.
All right, then the last question from Operator. Have you ever found yourself being influenced by characters, such as picking up traits, hobbies, or quirks that they have?
Yes. Oh no, yes.
Okay.
In a really bad way. I played a character for a few years who talked like a valley girl, and I played them for a really, really long time and very frequently. Every other day we were playing. And for a little while I started really sounding like a valley girl in real life. And I still sometimes slip into the accent just because of how frequently I was using it. And now I do it for fun sometimes.
That's outstanding.
Some of the mannerisms have stayed And it's a little irritating, but also absolutely hilarious.
That's a little.
So yes, I have been influenced by some of the mannerisms of my characters when I get really into the character and play it frequently.
Kind of like that. That's funny. I'll say I used Jensen Ackles as Dean Winchester from Supernatural. I tried taking a few of those quirks right when we first started playing. It just didn't last very long because I was not very good at it. And also, there wasn't a character. So I realized that real quick. But I tried.
Okay.
I tried. It was his voice. He kind of throws it very deep when clearly that's not what he sounds like most of the time. I don't know.
Will you do that for us?
No, I won't.
He was about to. He
Aw.
tried that.
I was about to, and I tried, and I was like, oh, no, it already hurts, and nothing even happened yet. So.
Isn't the name of your memoir?
God. No.
Did you just high five yourself, Porter?
I guess.
No, it was me and CJ. High five.
Yeah, I guess, because no one else heard all the shit I was talking earlier on Porter, so fine. That wasn't recorded.
You put a bow on a thing. What do you want me to do here?
Fine.
Here, Porter, alley-oop. How dare you?
How about you, CJ?
Yeah, and it's really fucking affected my storytelling sometimes. For the longest time while I was in Ghost Ball's game, I was playing Silverfang with like a thick Russian accent and started using it so much that anytime I went to do an accent for a character, if I hadn't put like conscious thought into who it was, what their accent was, and like started practicing it all, it would default to Russian. It would default to my
pretty
character
funny.
Ash's voice, no matter fucking what. It helped with a few of the characters that are supposed to sound Slavic, because then I could just change it a little bit. But there was one time that I had fucking prepared for using Dempsey in my Wild West game. I started the spiel, immediately stopped with like, that is not his fucking voice, what the fuck is going on?
Dempsey in Russia would be hilarious.
I had to take like five minutes to be like, nope, gotta work this out.
I get that. I get a couple, I guess, is number one, talking about the voice of Carver, of Hank Carver, who was a character which just not gotten a lot of play in terms of discussion on the show, and who has not showed up in any game.
Other than?
That's been recorded here. You know, it's not part of Wherever Guy Takes Us. It hasn't been a part of any of the postmortems, but he's been mentioned here and there.
Mm-hmm.
But Hank Carver, that's the voice that just if you hang out on the Discord, or even watch the show, this will come out every now and then. It just kind of at this point becomes my default with a certain, I like. But also, and I think this is probably a bigger one, it's that same era too. There's a bone gnawer named Hand to Mouth.
Yep.
Yep. He's on the NPCs, wasn't he? Didn't I do Mouth? He was a former junkie.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
And that became the problem. Because I developed a nasty heroin habit. And spent a little time in rehab, got some shit sorted out, and now I don't play bone gnawers.
Talk about method acting.
I'm glad you recovered.
Method. Good. Thank you, Em. Thank you, Em. It was a long road,
yes.
but
well
Yeah.
done. Well done. Fuck, that was funny.
it's a hell of a drug.
All right. Thank you, operator, for the questions.
Yes, fantastic questions.
Next, from Adele Salas. Is there a way to ever turn someone back from badness, like the worm going back to the good side? Or is it always having to be killed? Where would the level be if we could do this? What kind of elements would you need? What class would you have to be? Can a Thurge overturn things if there is a group of them?
the look I'm getting right now.
It's a lot to unpack.
It is. And I feel like this is more of a compound answer and not like a let's all take turns on this. So, fuck it.
Mm.
So I want to say because there's a lot to unpack there. Maybe I should start us off.
It depends. I guess it really depends on what you're talking about specifically.
Yeah, there's
a Bane, a Fomori, a Black Spiral Dancer.
Yeah, there's a lot of moving parts to that.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's a possessed Fomori, that person is already dead.
Yeah, that guy's already done onion rings.
It's onion rings.
Yeah, there's no turning
That's
back.
right.
Yeah. In that case, Dunzo.
Right. Cleansing a corrupted spirit is an interesting proposition.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we have to look at the level of the spirit, the power of said spirit, and whether or not that's, what that spirit is. Is it worth it? If we're talking something like an aspect of Bat, well, we know that is possible through, of course, they don't list the process, because why would we want to do that?
Yeah.
Well, I think we don't, because it sets a dangerous precedent.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of these, like, it's unrelated, but to real quick, it was a recent topic on our Discord that they statted out the Silver Crown in a new edition of Werewolf, and we were talking about what a terrible fucking idea that is,
Right.
because no character should ever have the Silver Crown. So it doesn't matter what its stats are, because you should never have it. That is too powerful an artifact. It makes whoever has it the main character of a game, which is a mistake and will ruin your game. All of it's the worst idea.
Yeah. It's not there to be found.
Right. Like, that shit ain't for you. That said. So we know there are examples of that, right? And obviously that takes a lot of work and attrition, and it is not an easy, that's a Herculean task, right? And that's talking about a totem. We know cases of Black Spirals who have cleansed themselves of worm taint and turned their backs on their tribe. They don't live very long.
They're usually hunted down.
Right. And also that's important that you can't rite of cleansing that away.
Yeah, once you've done the dance, it's in your DNA.
Yeah, like you have been, like your soul has been fucking marred. Now, can like enough trips to Erebus and enough repenting fix that? Sure, but you have to want to fix that. No one can do that for you. It's not like, let's have a conversation. I have convinced you to come back to. That's not how that works. That doesn't make you okay again.
Yeah. Remember, there is that mention in Umbra 20. I don't know about earlier editions of that Black Spiral Dancer stuck in Erebus.
Yes.
Swimming in the Lake of Silver. Still there. Probably forever.
And like, who's that fucking guy?
Yeah.
Because there's been precedent.
Right, and if it's a nobody.
But he's clearly not, because if he's still there. Right, and this is the Umbra. So at that point, I would argue that guy isn't even a physical fucking form anymore. That could be Karurik's cousin.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not Karurik, because we already know. But you know what happened to him.
But yeah, no, you're right. If he's been in there that long, he no longer has a physical form.
Oh, absolutely not. So he could have been around. He could have been in the first batch of fucking Black Spirals, for all we know.
And we don't.
Right, and that's another question you shouldn't answer.
In my mind, especially as like a storyteller, I don't think you should be able to necessarily redeem Black Spirals. Like, maybe they could go Ronin and everything, but they're still Black Spiral dancers at the end of the day. It's the whole thing of Garu have a reincarnation cycle. Sometimes giving them a second chance to go through that is a mercy in and of itself.
Well, take your point. I think a redemption arc can be a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'll meet you halfway there. Because you say, a Black Spiral who repents and turns his back on his tribe, is still a Black Spiral. Well, if Jaeger were to have forsaken Fenris and enacted the rite and become a Fianna because he was super jealous of Ghost's hair.
I like how you look at me and that's the first thing you come up with.
That's just a callback to the...
I got it.
Just was in my heart.
That's fine.
But yeah, for whatever reason, do you go, is he still a Get of Fenris? Well, he was taken in by Stag, and he's not anymore.
Mhm.
So, I mean, like, I'll meet you halfway on that. But, I mean, this isn't like the traveling church. You know, where the shyster is like, I'm going to put my hand on your forehead and say to Jesus, and now you can walk again. It's not like that. You can't do that to someone and have them not be a worm-tainted fucking monster anymore.
Yeah, like, I don't think you're ever going to get the, like, level of redemption arc as, like, Zuko got, but you could definitely get the, like, much, much less of a monster. Still, you know, there is that stain on their soul. They're still probably a lot more inclined to do some heinous shit if given the chance. But they could be making the attempt at the redemption.
Completely agree.
Feeding information to Guy and Pax about where to find the Black Spiral hives and where their weaknesses are.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's a good one.
If
there.
anybody would trust them, right?
100%.
Yeah.
To spring off an example real quick. So we have a shit ton of questions.
It's fine.
Yeah. You know, I look at the Black Spiral that showed up in the Vermilion.
Mm-hmm.
You know, who had his arc through the games there for Danny and Tom. I had in a version, not the version they went through, maybe later in the version they went through, I don't know, a plan of sort of a redemption arc for Vermilion. Which sounds extremely fucked up if you know some of the hijinks he went into. Shout out to y'all that have had the Postmortem series. It's on the Ko-Fi. If you haven't heard it yet, you can buy them. But some of the fucked up shit he got into, you know, when we talked about the voices in his head and what those voices actually were, the long-term plan was for him to listen to those voices, turn his back on the worm, and not join the Gaians, because that was a non-starter.
Right.
But find himself a little hideaway that he could eventually, just like M said, filter information to them when he heard it, or give some kind of assistance or leverage if they needed, if they could make it worth his while, where he was now this third party kind of wild card. You know, him turning his back on the worm didn't make him a nice person. He was still a fucking killer. People would still go missing, and people would go, Vermilion, what the fuck? We talked about this. And he's like, you can't prove that, kid. You can't prove I did it. Kind of thing. You know, he still wasn't a good
There's
guy.
nothing left of them to prove it.
Exactly. Yes, I know there's a
that's
tongue
cool.
nailed to my wall. It's not her tongue, though. You can't prove it is.
And that's kind of a bit of like I don't know the name of the trope, but like the bad guy still being bad, but helping out the good guys.
The anti-hero?
Well, no, because the anti-hero is a different
word?
thing.
Oh,
But
could it fall under anti-hero?
see, I wouldn't say so because they're still not a hero. But I'm 100% with you. There are
It's not an
examples.
antagonist.
Okay.
Okay.
You know, I think often those characters get neutered. And I can think of a few examples. Joss Whedon was very fond of that trope.
Mhm.
You know, taking that popular villain and then
Mhm.
turning them slowly into they're kind of still dicks, but they're got the heart of gold ultimately.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
That was absolutely. You know, it started there.
Angel.
Yeah. But again, it's Joss Whedon. That's what he
Yeah.
does. It's the same way that if Firefly would have continued after Inara died, Saffron would have taken her place on the ship. Guaranteed.
Huh.
I'll bet a fucking kidney on that.
Interesting.
You know how he writes.
Yeah, no, it's a solid point.
14 episodes. She was in 2 of them, and we knew Inara was dying. So, spoiler alert for a fucking 30-year-old show that didn't get a season to tell you that.
Yeah.
So,
They got a movie and they still didn't tell you.
that was like the season 3 or 4 plan.
Oh, really? Because I know the movie was supposed to be like
It's basically season 2.
season 2, yeah. Anyway,
Yes, yeah, sorry for the spoilers for those of you who hadn't seen Firefly.
which you should have already.
Yeah, you should go back. But again, the spoiler was never actually happened, but was just totally clearly his plan. Sorry.
Well, I guess more to the question is what level could this be? What kind of elements would you need? What class do they have to be? Can a group of Thurges overturn? I think the ultimate answer here is it's a very big deal. And sure, some of these things can happen, but it's going to take time. It's going to take a lot of effort, and probably more effort than the pack themselves can handle. It's going to be stuff from outside of the pack, while the world's still turning.
Well, I mean, again, when we're talking levels of like a spiral or something, that's not something that can be done to it. And I mean, that's the thing. You can't do that to a spiral. That's something that has to come from within. If we're talking something like an aspect or, a greater spirit or something like that, yeah, there's acts of contrition and to try to lure it back, but that's, we don't know. We don't have the particulars, but that does have to be part of a larger thing. And if you're making your pack part of that, like doing a story like that, you probably don't want them to be in charge of it.
Yeah.
They're the errand boys at that point. We need you to do this because we said so, while the elders are working the technical stuff that you don't need to know about.
Right.
Yeah, of the rites that I am familiar with, that do like cleanse worm taint at like very high levels, or even like try to push down Fomori, I guess is the way you could say it. They're all like level 5 rites, which would be performed with very high up elders.
And even then, something like, say, a rite of cleansing, which certainly isn't our level 5 rite, but that's like a good hand washing. It's like you got the lava and the steel wool out, all right? That doesn't unfuck your soul.
And it's still very time consuming as well.
The lava and steel wool.
I mean, essentially, that's what it is.
I know, I love it. That's a good analogy. Nice.
What's called another sort of example that you could do for it is, maybe the spirit never actually needed to be cleansed or redeemed, whatnot. Once again, go back to Avatar. Y'all remember the spirit of the forest that like turned into a monster after it got burnt down?
Yes.
After their forest got burnt down? We do something like that. Like, maybe the pack has to help this spirit not necessarily move on, but help it basically calm down so it can go and do its job and help the forest regrow. That could be a sort of like, if you wanted to run this kind of redemption arc for a spirit or whatnot, it's a way that you could do it that wouldn't necessarily get into that like, hey, can we redeem this worm spirit? We unfuck this Bane or Fomori?
You could kill or get rid of whatever was originally burning the forest down or tearing up the forest so that the spirit could do its own thing.
I'd go probably a third direction, which is maybe a little closer to M's on this one. It is, you can't unfuck the thing, right? So we use that forest spirit. It's turned. It is furious and lost its way. You can't fix it. You can put it down and you can replant the trees and hope a new forest spirit will show up in its place.
Return the spirit to Gaia so it can, rebirth.
Yeah, but you can't uncrazy and evil the original one because the world of darkness, man. I think any of these are viable, but
agreed. Yeah,
but yeah, there's 3 ways to do it without necessarily having to answer that question of like, if we can unfuck this Bane, why can't we unspiral this spiral?
Absolutely.
And if you're wanting to do something like that in a story, you just got to do it in one of these ways that are compelling to you and your players.
There you go. And again, thank you, Adele, for the questions.
Yes.
Because there was a lot all in one.
This is a compound, it's fine.
Yeah.
Compound questions are great.
Next set is from Ren. If you had to make the latest version of the new werewolf game, you had no choice, what would you have done?
Let's give that to M.
You're first.
Yep.
Like a latest version of a werewolf game, I have to make it.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I would revamp some of the dice mechanics.
Okay.
While keeping just the basics of the game, but trying to, you want to get a new audience in there. You want to keep your old audience. So revamp some of the things that are a little clunkier. Make some of it, rewrite it, republish it so it's a little bit more modernized. I mean, isn't that what W20 kind of did when it came out? I'm not big in the histories.
Well, it updated the time, like made it a modern day setting.
Yeah, I think adding more for our enhanced technology would be good in that case. Because we've got a lot more cameras, there's a lot more ways to track people. I feel like the glasswalkers would have more rites, more rites and rituals that would kind of go along with this new technology of the modern era. You could add some really interesting things like that into a book.
Yeah.
That's true.
I guess what I'm trying to say is add fun things that go along with the new era. Make smoother fighting mechanics.
That would be nice.
Now, I think I would go the other way and make it less fun. I think I would put little spikes on every page, so when you go in to turn them, you'd get a paper cut, like, no matter. And if we could line the sides of the pages with, like, goat urine or something that would just really get in there and burn. I don't know why that's what was in my heart.
It's called Make the Cover of Asbestos.
I like that.
Little anthrax in the packaging.
I'm shaking my head at you guys. Next question.
No, I will speak on behalf of Danny and CJ now and say that if that were to be happening, we certainly could only probably hint at it once several months ago. And say that, we would take a good look. I'd probably take a look at all the tribes and see where the tribal culture could be improved. Talk about maybe the connection of totems would be important to just really lean into the Goru culture, which is something that's been talked about a lot, but never really pushed, amongst many, many other things, enough to fill a core book, probably.
Yeah, that sounds, and if we are talking about something that was already talked about a few months ago.
There's definitely hinted at. If it was a thing. There were some hints already, and you should go back. There was like a team on it that really can't discuss it right now. I don't know. If there was, I would know about it, but I probably would, because the question was directed at us. And that's weird.
Yeah. And if we did know about it, we just couldn't tell you about it.
We probably couldn't talk about it.
Probably not.
Probably not.
But
if we could,
we couldn't
though. Already. So yeah. Next.
Yep, we're just next. Have you ever seen an awesome character in the movies and make one for your game as an NPC?
Yeah, I think a lot of my characters are based off of fun movie or book characters I've read about or watched.
CJ?
Closest thing I can think of is, have used inspiration from a few TV shows more than movies. Yellowstone being a big example for some of the NPCs in my current game.
I imagine that's a big one for Wild West, yeah?
My inner Stanley...
Oh, no, not Wild West. Modern Day.
Oh, even better. Nice.
My inner Stanley wants to steal a little credit because I tricked CJ into watching Yellowstone.
Yeah.
My inner Stanley.
It's a fantastic show.
No, it is.
Yeah.
I talked it up a lot. I think I got you watching it too.
Oh, yeah, it fucking got me. I got hooked instantly.
Really good.
Yeah.
I just want to take
the two characters
that I don't deserve.
Yeah, that's my favorite Kevin Costner role.
The two characters that definitely got it was Rip and John Dutton, were the two that have gotten the most brought into the setting.
I can see it. Makes the most sense.
Yep. The one inspired by John Dutton ended up becoming a child of God that I actually like and managed to get Porter to like the idea of.
That's not fucking Herculean, man.
I know.
You make it sound like, it's a child of guy. Fucking, I'm fucking... it's character assassination. I will say that Inspirato comes from a lot of damn places.
Mm-hmm.
But the most, to answer the question closest is there's a character that I saw that I so badly wanted to rip off. It hurts. If I thought I could get away with it, I would do it.
What's the character?
But now we have a show, and I can't get away with it, and I know that.
What's the character from? Who is the character?
Well, I will tell you. The character is named Saint Walker.
Okay.
I believe he's from the Green Lantern comics. However, I do not read Green Lantern comics. He was, however, in the Green Lantern CG animated series, which was really fucking good and caught me by surprise.
Okay.
I'm not normally with the CG especially, but I put it on because, I'm working. I want something to watch, in the background.
Sure.
And then I got fucking hooked. Really good show, but there's this character, Saint Walker, who I just wanted to steal and make. He's a stargazer. I even want to name him Saint Walker. I wanted to rip everything off of this character. I loved him. But again, I know I'm never going to be able to get away with it. Especially with the show I'm fucking trumpeting, right? Because eventually I'm going to go, Danny, you got to watch this thing. But now I can't have Danny watch this thing because he'll know I'm a fraud. So eventually I took elements into Dodger.
Okay.
Okay.
That's fair. I mean,
And he's not at all the same character.
well, clearly.
But there's certain,
Yeah.
the penchant for calling people brother.
Mhm.
In the cadence
Small
of the
little
voice.
things.
Yeah, and that's as far as I went. I would love to just steal them wholesale, but again, I am not a hack, goddammit. I won't do it. I want to, I won't. I have so much fun with them, but I can't do it.
No, but you are pretty good at using, whatever inspiration and using those, but each one of those characters still has their own identity where it's clearly not just a ripoff.
Right, I'm the opposite of, I just use a part of the buffalo. I'm like Roosevelt. I just take this part and I leave the body. I'm like, fuck it.
This is all I needed anyway.
Yeah.
It's fine.
I know there's all this other shit left, but
You don't need
I
it.
just wanted a tooth, honestly. I could have just hit him with a hammer, punched him in the mouth and walked away, but I got the gun and I'm a monster. Jesus.
All right. All Cairns can do moon bridges. Why couldn't the Dark Ages did the nation not know about the Wendigo or the other tribes in America?
I mean, isn't it because you got to do a whole rite to connect two Cairns together to form that moon bridge to begin with?
Yeah,
that's-
you have to have somebody on both sides, right?
Yeah, that's step one, right? To between two cans. You can force one, but you also have to know where that is.
Yeah.
Because at that point it's like breaking into someone's house.
Mm-hmm.
I can break into Tom's house. A hammer works on a window. But if you don't know where Tom's house is, that's already a problem.
Just gonna keep breaking into houses until you find Tom's.
Now, if you become a backer at our Moon Silver tier after 6 months, you will get an email with his address, maybe. That's not true.
Oh my goodness.
No, it's 4 months.
That's not true.
No, it's not true. It's 4 months.
We'll give you Danny's. It's 123 Help Street.
Oh, damn it.
Yeah.
Don't even need to be a backer.
I know, just for everybody as a freebie. It's incentive. Now you owe us 6 months. What are we talking about? Yes, you have to know, even if you're just sending a bridge to attack somewhere, you have to know where that somewhere is. That's a thing.
Yeah.
So that's step
Fast
one.
traveling in a game.
Right. So that's step one on that. Step two is, who the fuck are the Wendigo? And when I say that, right, I mean, that was it was a long time ago,
Mm-hmm.
right? It wasn't like there were records or history books, you know what I mean? They couldn't just read about the time the Wendigo went over. So what region are we talking about where people knew who the Wendigo were, for one?
Yeah.
Were there people that remembered the Wendigo? Or are these just legends? Were there people who knew that the Wendigo, and I mean, we're also talking the Croat and the Octana, but my point here, right? That these tribes existed, who remembers that they existed, who knows that they went to the New World, who knows that they survived the trip. There's
Yep.
a lot of knowledge that you would have to have for all of that not only can you not guarantee, or can you say isn't common knowledge, but might not be knowledge at all.
And plus, who knows about the fucking New World at the time?
Exactly. They could have just walked off the edge of the world because flat, for all they know.
I know it's
we're not
mentioned
doing
in-
that, but
Yeah. Yeah, I know it's mentioned in a book. I can't remember exactly which one, but there is one where they were talking about, how there was rumors how on certain nights you could see what looked like a moon bridge in the far off distance if you were in, Spain or something. Yeah, at the time they were just rumors at best. So
if you don't know any better,
Admit-
then yeah.
right. And with the oral nature of Garu history,
Mm-hmm.
the unreliable narrator
Everything is
factor,
just rumor.
exactly. We can't agree. We don't know how the war rage started.
Just a bunch of wives' tales.
Exactly. All of the Garou were meanies and attacked all of the other shifters at once.
Yep.
And they all were being attacked by the same Garou, and only the Garou. And they banded together, and the Garou were still meanies, and a bunch of them got murdered forever. And that's how all of the Farah combined lost the War of Rage against just the Garou.
Yep.
That's probably what happened.
I love that one. It's my favorite. Oh. Thank you, Ren, for the questions.
Yeah, thanks, Ron. I'm just bummed out about this War of Rage.
Now this one is from Carly herself.
Who?
Carly? Emberstream?
Me.
Remember Stream?
String.
That's what I said, isn't it?
No, you said Stream.
Carly herself. Emberstring.
Oh yeah, I forgot I put a question in
AKA
there one time.
M asks, what rules or guidelines that you use for secondary skills and abilities? Example, when and where does specialties differentiate into secondary abilities?
Let's field this one, Em. What do you think?
I asked the question. I think it's only fair that you guys answer.
Well, why would you ask a question you don't know the answer to?
I'm sorry, what was that again? I missed that.
I said, why would you ask a question you don't know the answer to? How do you know if we're right or not? I make my own fun.
Oh man.
I feel like this is only you were going to be able to answer.
Yeah, no, I feel like that's where that was directed. Are we?
Yeah, I'm not a huge rules person. That's why I asked this.
Oh, and then obviously I have made my tweaks, and so I assumed that this was directly at me in regards to our game.
What?
So yeah, as it stands, when you get 4 dots in something, you pick a specialty. And I don't remember if it's double successes or rerolls off the top of my head because it has been both at different times.
10s, you get a roll to get a chance for another success.
Right, but it's been different at different times.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes it's just successes or 10s are double. At times 10s are a reroll. Fucking right this second, I don't remember.
20 it's double.
Yeah.
The point is, it's whenever you're making a roll that deals with that specialty. The problem with this is the specialties are ill-defined. And super ill-defined. If you look through the character creation section, where it's describing what every stat means.
Right.
I don't know what the word melee means. Well, you will read it there and you'll learn what the scale is on 5, which is useful. Don't get me wrong. But they will have the type of person or whatever that possesses the skill, and they'll name some specialties. It'll be like 3 or 4, but they don't say what those mean. And then you go where you only pigeonhole to those 3 or 4. Now, if I were to be in charge of a thing or be doing my own version of a thing or rewriting, whatever, I would want to define those, have those 3 or 4 examples, those 4 or 5 maybe to pick from, but make sure you make it very clear what those circumstances are and what they are not.
Give as much specifics.
Right. So, and when the day comes and you've got your, your athletics at 4, right?
Yes.
And you pick, you're looking at down your list of shit I'm just going to make up off the top of my head, and you pick like Artful Dodger. Well, obviously that's going to be specifically for rolls on dodging. You'll get that bonus.
Right.
I know like Quick Reflexes is one of them. I'm like, what is that? Because you can make the argument for like every roll.
Everything's a quick reflex.
Exactly.
Yeah, so...
that's the problem, is they're so fucking ill-defined.
Or I'm always being vigilant.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get the Artful Dodger, but like you're just scaling a wall and you get the extras. That doesn't work that way.
It's like, oh no, I'm dodging the question. So I get bonuses there too, right?
Nice. Yes, like that's the answer. You're dodging the questions.
I think Under Pressure was one. I think. It was something like that, and I had a player go, well, I'm very stressed, so... fucking shut up.
I've got a deadline.
Yeah, right? Like, get out of here with that. So really, my
rage is up to 8. I better pull this off.
Yeah. Work's been a bitch lately. Fuck.
Oh no.
Yeah, right. So definitely get with your storyteller to make sure to define those clearly.
I think that's fair, because otherwise you muddy the waters real quick.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Thanks, Em. Happy birthday.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Just leave it right there.
Yeah.
Okay. Next set from Drake. This one specifically for Porter. Was your first character the Get Around a prototype for Whiplash or some other NPC?
It's funny. We just talked about this in the postmortem.
Mm-hmm.
No. My first character, the Get a Fenris, Around, Metis, Xylo kills the foe, was awful.
Fully admitting it.
Oh, no. Again, I was like 13 or 14. He was embarrassing.
It was unsupervised.
Yep, unsupervised. His Metis deformity was fangs in all forms. You know what it did for me?
Oh, beautiful.
It gave me an extra dot of intimidation.
And I'm sure, like, stronger bites.
Dude, yeah, well, yeah. I could bite. I could do Ag and Hamid. Also, I started with a Grand Clave. What the actual horseshit?
Right, yeah.
And again, I'm not sorry because, again, I did this without supervision.
You didn't know
Not
any
understanding the setting, yeah, not knowing any better with a storyteller who did not give a shit, clearly. Don't allow ever. Never.
better.
But, obviously he kind of evolved into Xylo kills the foe, runs the heart of the Hatebringer. And the only reason I kept the kills the foe was because the character was, he was completely fucking gutted. I mean, he was a Get a Fenris. His name was Xylo.
And that was the only similarity.
Yep. He was still blonde. I guess that was the other thing. But, like, that was it. And really, I kept that as the beginning of it as an homage. You know, the name Xylo Kills the Foe was added there as an homage to all of the games that came before, all of the characters that were made before. You know, it was just me doing a secret little nod to that. The characters don't represent at all. Thankfully. Fucking thankfully. I kept the clave, too.
I was going to say, yeah,
I did keep the clave.
but he was an elder. And
Exactly, he's an elder and an NPC, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Porter, can I ask you a follow-up question?
Absolutely.
Would it be okay to start a character, like at the character rank 1, start them off with a weapon that looks like a Grand Clave that they're absolutely convinced is a Grand Clave, but it's not?
I kind of like that.
I guess it depends on what it
Just
really
like the
is.
character's delusion that thinking like this weapon right here is a Grand Clave. Look at me, I'm so important. I have a Grand Clave, and it's just this random weapon that just is pretty.
Yeah, I do like that. Like Danny brought up there we'd have to figure out what it really was to make that reasonable.
Yeah.
But
What's it called? Or I've got got one, or what it could have been.
Yeah.
A fucking replica Grand Clave. Like, let's say, I remember I mentioned this character before of the fanboy for Gogol's Fangs First, with some custom trading cards and his replica Grand Clave.
Oh, so he made it himself.
Probably made himself.
that's
Beautiful.
Awesome. That's awesome.
Okay, I can see that.
Here's a rejected idea that I had. A rejected idea, like who fucking I did. I pulled the plug on this.
On your own self.
Well, you have ideas. Sometimes they're not good ideas. But you play them out, you look at it, and you go, nah, nope. But I actually, for a while, toyed with the idea of Xylo Kills, his Grand Clave not being a Grand Clave.
Oh.
I think I told you about this, because it was a rejected plot thing, so I could talk about this, because I wasn't going to do it. But I had the wild hair across my ass that it was a Fang off an avatar of Fenris
Yeah.
that he had earned,
Okay.
and then through his career had coated in Moonsilver so people thought it was a Grand Clave.
Right. I was going to say, I know what this is. Do I...
Yeah,
use
because
a spoiler?
because it was a bad idea, so it's not a spoiler. I turned, I'm like, I dumped it. I'm like, nah. But I had when I create, sometimes I will just envision a scene and play it out in my head, and I'll hold that scene for a while and build upon it, and then I make my decision. And so that was one of those things, is I had this idea of Xylo and Sekhmet, Sekhmet Rainmaker being around a fire, and Sekhmet just being his eyes glued to this to the weapon. And like him putting the piece, like identifying it, like the spiritual resonance or whatever, going, that's not a Grand Clave. That's something far more strange and interesting hidden to look like a Grand Clave.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No, I remember you telling me that one specifically, and I see that playing out. Like
It's a neat scene, but it's
Yeah.
ultimately a bad idea.
And I get it, but it's like, why is his Grand Clave there? And then Segment's like, that's not a Grand Clave.
Like that's not.
I know what it looks like, but I know it's not. I can see that. That's cool. All right, then next, if you could make a list of questions to help someone flesh out a character concept, what kinds of questions would you include? I think the ice cream one is a good idea.
Absolutely.
The car
restaurant
crash.
scenario.
Yep. Those help. Those are very big, especially for me.
MJ? CM?
Oh, we're merged.
Yep.
Yep.
If you could talk in unison, that'd be helpful too.
I don't think we could do that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
necessarily.
I think it would be a nightmare for editing.
Yeah. You could do it.
Yes,
but
I think
please don't.
so.
I've been messing around with an idea for a list of questions that I threw together. I don't remember what exactly sparked it, but I threw together this just list. I put it up in Discord at one point. A Google Doc. There's another RPG that I played a while back, Legend of the Five Rings, and one of part of its character creation, like its first step of its character creation, is a game of 20 questions. It has these 20 questions that you're supposed to fill out to help make the character. Yeah. And so I kind of adapted those questions over into Werewolf just to see how well it could work. And, some of the questions are just simply like, first three, name, tribe, auspice. But eventually later on, it's, how would your character's parents describe them? Any mannerisms or prejudices they hold. And the last one that was one question I didn't have to change at all. That is one that I think provides some interesting little potential story seeds or just thoughts in general is, how does your character die? The concept of fate exists in the world of darkness. There could be a vision of your character's death. How do you envision them meeting their end?
Interesting.
I like that.
See, I don't know if I do. I like the rest of it, but the how did the die thing, I don't know if I like that.
It depends on the character. Some characters could respond to that. Like, you could tailor how your character responds to the question in character. So some characters might jump on the question and go, "Oh, I'd rather die like this, or this," while other ones go, "Oh, yeah. I don't want to approach that question at all. Dying is a real fear."
It's ultimately that's like the point of the question of it's just super simple question that you can take. Is this how your character wants to die? How they believe they'll die? Their secret fear of how they'll die? Is there some curse attached to them? Are they getting these visions or whatnot?
Well, see, and I think certain ways that's framed, I'm on board with it. I think certain ways I'm not. Because I feel like if you do it as a matter of fact, I think it puts a preconception in the mind of the player, which will not be fulfilled.
Yeah.
Just there's no way, right? Unless the storyteller specifically tailors how they're going to die and plans that out, and I think that's already kind of dishonest.
A little bit.
But the idea of how do they think they're going to die, or how are they afraid to die, or something, I think that's excellent. So I think at that point, just that last question specifically,
50-50. Okay.
For me, I think it's how it's framed.
It could be like an ambiguous question, like, would you like it to be a blaze of glory or the quiet life?
And I really like the how would your parents describe you?
Yeah, that's actually on my list of questions, is how do your parents describe you? That is on my list as well.
See, that's awesome. And I think if we're talking about a non-first changer, like a more seasoned character, I think it's important to add a couple things like, what happened to your first pack? Who was your first pack's totem? What sept in
Yep.
M's familiar with some of this. What sept did you come from? Why did you leave
What
it?
what kind of relationships do you make there?
Exactly. Because if you've had that, if you're playing someone who's not just brand new off your first change, then someone trained them. Someone went through already. They went through a rite of passage. They learned their gifts. They might have fetishes. You got to know where that shit came from. It's like going through your first job. You know what your first job was. You know the names of some of the. I don't care how long it's been. You can remember the names of some of your coworkers. Certainly, you remember an anecdote or two from your first job. I don't care what your name is. You do. I mean, maybe Amnesia Man probably doesn't. So I guess if that's your name, fine. But other than that,
No, it's a
You see
significant
Memento.
part. Yeah, I was going to say it's a significant part of your mental history. You would remember something like that.
exactly. So stuff like that is very important for someone who's not a first changer. But sorry, go ahead, Danny.
All right, then the next one. How would you handle grappling enemies with unusual anatomy? Something like lots of limbs, worm-like bodies, etc., or even like a massive size, like larger than a Krynos. I feel like maybe that's just upping the difficulty at that point.
You could do a real Star Wars rope trick.
Huh?
No, you're going to have to elaborate on that.
I know what you mean.
The terrain walkers,
Oh, okay.
and they were like
Oh,
throwing the
I
ropes
see.
around the legs,
Oh,
falling
yeah.
down.
You just fly your X-Wing around them.
Yeah, you could do a real. That's the Star Wars rope trick, taking down the terrain
Rope
walkers.
trick. I thought you said something else. Okay, rope trick.
Weirdo.
Got it.
Want to know
Okay.
what he thought he said?
Yeah, what
What
did
he
you
thought he
think
heard?
I said?
I wasn't sure. That's why I was very confused.
I am not going to speculate and waylay this show. CJ?
Thank you.
You're welcome, buddy.
For me, if it's something like, just big, it would be a sort of group effort thing. Like, if it was something much larger than a Krynos, and it might take 2 or 3 people to actually hold it in place to actually start grappling it. Or if it's oddly shaped, extra limbs and everything, then I'd mainly raise the difficulty a bit. There's a few things that you probably can't grapple and or force to the ground in Krynos. Aren't just, like 5 times your size.
For my money, I would use a combination of fingers, thumbs, and hands, and then strength to try to grapple and then lift. Mechanically. However,
Okay.
see, joke's on you. I was going to answer the question.
Okay.
Um,
I hope so.
I like contested rolls. If it's someone that's if it's an active struggle,
Mhm.
I want to do strength for strength. If it's something particularly large, I would probably do strength for stamina.
Mm.
It's always the strength of the guy doing the grapple, but what is it versing? And then something like a worm-like body, I would do strength for dex. Because it's something that's less trying to overpower but wiggle free.
Okay.
In
Yeah, I
my
like
mind.
that.
Okay, I get that, yeah.
That makes sense.
Thank you, Drake. Appreciate the questions. Next would be from Beta. Is there any interest in discussing the Tribe novel series? Who's Who Among Werewolves? Gauru Saga, Drums Around the Fire, When Will You Rage? Or other Werewolf the Apocalypse anthologies?
I don't want to say that there's not interest. I'm going to take this one for all of us. 'Cause
Yeah.
we're talking about in terms of the show. It's not that there's not interest, it's that we don't do book reports, right?
Right.
So it's stuff that, and we have talked about certain things here and there.
Which
you know.
is, yeah, again, that's the show.
Right. So yeah, it's not that. I never got my hands on the Tribal series. I got the last book of that. And I'm not a fan of the fiction involving like the apocalypse because I feel like that's something that should be addressed at a table and not canonically.
Okay.
I just personally feel like that's just so big of a concept to say this is matter-of-factly how that happens. There's so many ways to do that wrong, or to do that in a way that is just the antithesis of the vision of the storyteller at a table,
Mm-hmm.
that it should be left to the discretion of the storyteller at the table. That's just a personal feeling. So I don't have a whole lot of interest in those in particular, but we've talked about Breathe Deeply.
Yes.
You know, we've talked a bit about the Silver Crown, and the lore implications of those, especially the Silver Crown. That's a huge book lore-wise. You know, I'm a big fan of When Will You Rage. I like When Will You Rage too. You know, I'm a fan of these. They come up as they come up. They're hard to do a show around,
Right.
because you can't do it without making a book report.
Right, and we're here to discuss the topics on hand, not tell you what happened in the book.
Right. You know, I mean, we could
Yes,
say what we think about it, but that will take 3. I liked it.
Yeah.
What's up? It's CJ?
Like, if we had to try making a show out of it, it would have to be something like a book club style thing, but
Okay,
then, how much do you get out of it?
Right, that would be a nightmare logistically, too.
Yes, it would.
Yep.
It would. And it doesn't sound fun at all, and I don't even want to entertain it.
You know what I see already? This is my prediction.
Okay.
Is we do one, it's the Silver Crown.
Okay.
And M has read the Silver Crown, and she's got her thoughts on it ready to roll. And CJ has read about half of it, but he got overwhelmed with stuff. And Danny opened it and got about 6 pages in,
I knew this was going.
and I didn't even try. I'm just going to run off memory.
Yeah, that seems really accurate.
Right? I feel like it does.
Yeah.
Like, I read it in 8th grade, so that's good enough for me. My memory is generally pretty good. It's fine.
You know,
I would have probably taken notes.
Yep. See, I saw notes.
Yep.
Yep.
this sounds like
Have an annotated copy.
Yep.
that sounds very much like what my wife has to deal with in her book club. Because she has a book club.
See, here's the thing. Silver Crown, super small.
Still,
Like, that book will fit in your back pocket in terms of size, and I think it's not 300 pages.
but that doesn't
Yeah.
change the fact that it's probably still how it's going to go.
No, exactly. That's my point. Is I picked the smallest book.
It's still going to happen that way. I get 6 pages in, and yeah.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not even going to try. I'm just going to go off memory from 20 years ago. Fuck it.
Yep. No, my wife deals with that a lot. Like the few girls that are in there, one of them just doesn't read it and just goes with everyone else, and the other one will read it and take notes, and that's usually my wife. And the other one's like, I kind of got it, and I didn't finish it though. So I was like, why do you do this to yourself?
So yeah, that's why. I mean, if you want to know how come you guys don't do book reviews? That's why.
Yeah,
right
there you go.
That's the reason. I know my friends. I know
Yep.
myself. It's for the best.
We have a lot of personalities in here.
Exactly. It's for the greater good. Next
is Bran. Bran says, if a Garu enters an area where all supernatural effects and powers are nullified, would that also negate the Silver Fang curse while one is in the boundaries of this strange area?
There is precedent for this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I want to say yes. However, in Pangaea, one of the laws of the realm is the Garu in that realm revert to a time before the tribes have formed.
Okay.
Metis are no longer Metis. Your fur is a particular muddy gray. You can't even remember the name of your tribe because tribes don't exist.
Yeah, I was going to say, everyone looks the same.
Yeah, this is before. It's like there's no more individuality here. It's before individual. Don't question it. Just
Right. Everyone
It's why it
is-
makes a good meeting spot for really important decisions.
sure.
Right. Everyone's just a Garu.
Now,
Period.
so in the confines of that realm, if that is true, we make the argument that the Silver Fang curse also does not apply within the confines of that umbral realm,
Mm-hmm.
because that is in a time before there was not before there was a Falcon, but before there were Silver Fangs to fuck up and betray Luna and then get screwed over.
Good point.
And there's also a summer country, if you wanted to go with that example of even in there, it can get rid of a Metis' deformity, but as soon as they leave, it's either coming back immediately or coming back slowly. You can imagine a similar effect with the Silver Fang curse or various curses.
Kinda.
No, I
mean, I see it, but I also see why it wouldn't.
I don't disagree, but the argument is twofold. First, I don't see anyone who has fallen to the curse of the Silver Fang madness getting to Summer Country, because that's already basically impossible.
Mm-hmm.
Just like on a good day. And the other, I don't remember who this was with. There was a running conversation for a while, and it was somebody had dealt with this. It's been a while, so I don't remember any of the particulars. I feel bad. Was talking about some sort of immunity by being in a realm and taking that away or something. And I remember going through the various Umbra books to counter that because it didn't sound right to me. And as it turns out, there was no mention of curing anything. Like it was just made up. And I don't remember the realm, but I remember being surprised by that. And I wonder if it was Summer Country, but now I'm like all in my head about it, so I don't know. That's my number 2.
Fair.
I am like doing a cycle of self-doubt and how to, just gonna talk and how fucking good my memory is. M.
The question was about...
If a Garou enters an area where all supernatural effects and powers are nullified, would that also negate the Silverfang curse while one is in the boundaries of this strange area?
Okay. Well, I agree with Porter about the areas such as the ones that Porter mentioned. But if it's a gift that creates that kind of area, I would think something like a tribal curse would be so interwoven with that individual's self and who they are that would not be nullified over something like a gift.
I agree.
That's a good... I like that. It's a solid point.
I think at that point you consider the pay grade of the fucking spirits we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that spirit of healing or whatever that you found by the riverbed does not outrank fucking Falcon or Helios.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could also expand it to other tribes to see like why this is a good idea. Like, hey, yeah, here's this gift. Hey, Silas Shard, you can talk to your ancestors again. Only while you're here, though.
Yeah, also creates problems.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can imagine so.
Or no, you don't have to stink.
Hey, they already don't have to.
Yeah, they choose to.
Fucking Ricochet.
He washes the bandana.
Yeah, but
Wash your face, too. Like...
That's better than what I had.
You're welcome.
All right. Next question from Dundee. How should you implement multi-Pharah games? And I think the answer should just be with the Henge. Done.
Yeah, Handy.
Okay, fine. I apologize. Not just the Henge, the Ahandi,
Amazon game.
and then Amazon.
I like to keep things kind of vanilla in terms of different creatures in a game. Why muddle the waters with all these different rules and regulations when you could just choose one? So I feel like then you have characters that are more special compared to others.
Right. I mean, like, again, with the point of the Henge and the Ahandi and the Amazon, those are specific to have multi-Pharah. Whereas the rest is not, because it is all over the place where different Pharah all hate each other. Nobody gets along. Most of them don't get along with each other in their own tribe, much less their own kind. So having multiples and different ones get along just because doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
CJ?
It's kind of the same thing. Yeah, generally, how do you deal with a multi-Pharah game? Me, personally, I don't.
Yeah.
But if I had to, yeah, Ahandi, Henge Amazon game, it's just... It is one of those things that, like, yes, it introduced the extra rules. Yes, it introduces, like, extra... I'm a special snowflake. Like, you know, whenever you're getting that first description of everybody taking their various forms, you know, you got the Garou over here. He's like, yeah, no, I'm just a brown wolf, or, you know, my fur is brown in Krynos. Bastet, yeah, I'm a tiger, Krynos shifter thing. And you got the Macaulay, I'm a fucking T-Rex with the head of a Triceratops, wings of a pterosaur, and tail club. Like, already, that's a little...
Pushing it?
Go home.
Go home.
Yeah. It's like, is that really what you want?
That was so mild that how irritated was I?
Nobody is the main character of the story, but when you have stuff like that coming into contact with each other outside of a specific setting, it's hard not to.
Nah,
look at it that way.
I get it. Chris, now I'm putting together a Macaulay in my head.
Ow, why are you doing that to yourself?
It's going to be like the size of a T-Rex, right? He's going to have plates on his back like Godzilla or Stegosaurus. And he's going to have the fucking spiked tail and wings like a hawk and the head of Tony Danza.
I thought you were going to say a baby face. Like another infant.
Nice callback. That's just the head of Tony Danza was the whole point of this.
Yeah, I could see the T-Rex with
I mean-
tiny little hands go, hey-o,
Maybe-
hey-o.
And-
Maybe that still could be there.
Angela, the dishwasher's broken. Ayo.
Next question.
The Vev. How do you handle a situation when someone is being that main character?
This is difficult.
Well, there are ways you can deal with it nicely.
Yeah, I mean, I guess probably a talk needs to be had. It's not about one person. It's about everybody.
That's true. You know, in fact, I've said multiple times, I don't know how much on air, but, you know, Werewolf by nature is not a selfish game.
No.
You know,
Wolves are pack creatures.
right, about pack, about tribe, about service to Gaia, about self-sacrifice in the name of something greater than yourself. There are games, especially in the World of Darkness, they're all about the self, about me.
Mhm.
How I perceive things, my goals, but Werewolf is about more than that. So it's all the more disappointing when you have that person in a game like Werewolf, and it's very difficult when it's someone, especially when it's someone you like. You know,
Yes.
it's like you got a friend here. I mean, we're trying to, but it's CJ, and we all know he's really a monster, and we do our best, but you know, he has had Danny's dog held captive for about 8 months now. And every week he sends the picture with the paper and a nail gun to that poor puppy's head, threatening if we don't go along with what he wants.
Order.
People help. And that could just be for us.
Oh my goodness.
I just started going and I'm like, fuck it, this is fun.
My puppy!
All right.
He's held this group hostage
Oh, God.
for too long.
Oh, help me get my puppy back.
Okay. Oh no.
Who wants
In
a
all
cyanide
serious-
flavor Scooby snack?
No!
Oh god.
Anyway,
Yeah, you were.
In all seriousness, just having a talk with that player about including other players in their role play and finding ways to encourage the other players to become more active in role play and character development can help equal that out. But sometimes you do have to have a little bit of an awkward conversation with a person. And hopefully you trust and enjoy hanging out with that person enough to have that awkward conversation about, hey, why don't you try to incorporate some of the other players into these next couple of scenes?
I can imagine it's probably not easy to do.
No, and it's. I mean, that's good advice out of him there. I don't know why I didn't say that directly to him.
Is that surprising or?
No.
Sorry.
But it's also not always that simple. And I mean, we make it that way because personal relationships can be complicated. You know,
Yes.
if you like someone, you care about them, you don't want to upset them, you worry about losing a player. There are a lot of different moving parts to that.
Yeah.
And it can be very difficult. It can be very awkward. It can be something that you try to put off and hope it gets better, and that doesn't work.
Unfortunately.
Putting things off never works.
Yeah, you can't just hope that behavior will correct it. I mean, you can do that, but it's not going to. You can make excuses, and everyone has a bad day every now and then. That's very important. You know, I think
Yeah, or sometimes you get too caught up in the scene.
sure that's a thing that happens. We're all human, and that's something too. Like I think more and more as a society, we have become less and less tolerant to that humanity.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's something I've said many, many times. Again, I don't know how much on the air, but you know, my personal, view of things is everyone fucks up. Everybody fucks up. I don't care what your name is. And the trick is to act the way you want to be treated when it's your turn to fuck up.
Because
You know,
you're going to.
Right. When someone else fucks up, treat them the way you want to be treated when it's your turn. If that person is cool about it, if they are apologetic, if they want to make things right, and it's not a fucking blood feud.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if they're a dick about it, what can you do? But, and I think that's an attitude people should adopt more often. You know, cut some people some slack, but there's a limit. And it...
Yeah, like,
Go
having
ahead.
that talk, if it is an issue like this where somebody is being a bit too much of a main character or, you know, hogging the spotlight, there we go. Have a talk with them after the game or try shifting the spotlight to somebody else. That's the smallest thing you can do. If they're just fucking up and they're getting caught up in the moment, then it won't be a problem in the future.
No, you're
Or
right.
as much of a problem.
And really, I was going to a more dire version of that scenario, I suppose. So as a storyteller, you can always try to specifically write stories spotlighting the other characters. And if that player complains, point out that, well, okay, you've had these stories, everyone's going to get their turn, and it will come back around to you. But everyone gets their time in the spotlight, as well as all of you together. Because it is, again, about everybody. You know, for a more minor case, there's a suggestion.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean,
Absolutely.
we can look back at our postmortems, and we had Jaeger and Crimson Ghost, and there were certain stories that were specific to Tom, and then there were certain stories that were specific to me.
Yeah, you both had arcs.
Yeah, exactly. They had their own arcs. That doesn't mean that in my arc, Tom had no significance, or vice versa.
True.
So, again, just go back to it's the pack. There is no one main character. There is a main pack.
Skaya,
Fine.
I guess. I don't know.
All right, next. From Brother Mouse. How do you run the Ancestors background outside the raw mechanics? Example for Ancestors 5 says that your ancestors actively observe you and even can contact you.
I want to know this answer from Porter, as I do have ancestors as a background. Go ahead, Porter.
Oh my god. Better have two. Well, this is one of those things, and it's a little like Mentor to me.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and a great example, you know, was the with Tom, back when you guys started, is that, you know, he had a mentor. It was going to be Dempsey, and he's like, "Well, Dempsey's my mentor. How come he's not doing stuff for me?" I'm paraphrasing here, and I said to him, "Because you never speak to him. He's not just waiting around looking to do shit for you. You have to interact with him.
Right.
You're guaranteed for that relationship, provided you don't like stab him in the throat or something. I don't know what, but."
Yeah.
You know, you have to interact. You can't just, you know, it's like Detroit. They're not just looking for lost white people to kill. People have shit to do with their day.
It depends what time of the day it is.
You know what? Now, Ancestors is the same thing. Obviously, the level of dots should matter,
Sure.
but your relationship with those ancestors is something you have to form. You have to call on them to start that dialogue, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I do like the idea of, as you go, you can form a greater relationship with an ancestor. I don't want to give too much away because it is for a future post-mortem, but it's also, like, very late in the game. So, I guess I'll say there was a character who had a strong relationship with an ancestor spirit, to the point where I wrote a little scene. This was mass combat, so I like to have the asides for NPCs.
Sure.
And who spoke to her, the ancestor spirit of her great-grandfather, actively during combat, and the spirit would speak back to her. You know, it would be
advice on what to do next kind of stuff?
not in this case, but sure.
Okay.
You know, potentially, absolutely. But to the point in this particular case, she allowed the ancestor spirit to possess her briefly to do a particular feat of strength.
I like that idea. That's a pretty cool idea.
But again, that would have been a long term
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of dots and ants. I mean, it's an NPC, so it's whatever I fucking want it to be. But, you know, something like that. Like there's a lot of, you need to reach out to those ancestors, and then at that point build a rapport, and as things go,
Right.
a kind of like it's a stealth stat leveling up, if you will. Is that helpful?
Yeah, I like it.
Cool.
Okay. Then the next one from Brother Mouse. Is there a merit to running Training Wheels / Easy Mode Chronicles for people playing any of the games in the World of Darkness for the first time?
I'll let y'all go first.
I have an easy one that I can point to. At the same time, I don't use the merit even with brand new players for a very specific reason, and it's the common sense merit. Where if I'm running a game for new players, I make the comment of, hey guys, don't even fucking bother with this merit. It is free to a point. Like, if I have a brand new player who has next to no knowledge aside from the basics of Werewolf, who has this whole idea of what they want to do, and it's a horrible, bad idea that their character would know is a bad idea, I'll usually ask, are you sure?
Yeah, you're just going to give it to him at that point.
There's like the storyteller shuffle right there.
Like,
Are you sure?
it's the, hey, I'm really fucking pissed off at this person, blah, 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 blah. They took my boy away from me. I'm gonna punch the elder in the face. Are you sure?
Yeah. No, bottom line, if your storyteller says, "Are you sure?" Rethink your fucking action.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
If you're not able to crack the code, let me do that shit for you right now. Are you sure? Means please don't do that. As like a plane ticket to Mistake Town. All right, they're giving you an out. Take it.
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah.
Another example with that would be like using it for, let's say the pack is dealing with a vampire and somebody is a silent strider and they've had vampire stuff in their backstory, but they don't know a lot about vampire necessarily. You can use that common sense merit of like, hey, your character probably has a good idea. Don't look this guy in the eyes.
Yeah, similar to that.
That's just that little aside.
Yeah, similar to that when I run games for very, very new players, which is pretty much the only games I've run for is very new players. I just know in my heart of hearts, because of course I know they're new players, they don't know much of the information. So if they ask a question based on like what they want to do, if it'll work or not, or if their character would know this or not, I typically give them the information they need. I don't make it harder for them or very punishing. While still making it fun and entertaining. Maybe I give them the information in like a wives' tale that they heard during their training, or something they overheard at dinner one time, or a story at a moot. But I give them the information that they might need in order to help them know about what they're fighting or what to do in that kind of scenario.
Something that I do that no one ever takes advantage of. To the point, like, I've reminded people at times, and it has never mattered.
I think you're saying.
Is I have always allowed a player to, and I'm going to paraphrase here, to like look at me and go, can I like have deduced this based on, and make a roll for their knowledges to see if they could deduce something based on their past experiences, give them a hint to stuff.
Mm-hmm.
If they feel like they're kind of trapped against the wall. This is, obviously I like to do that in other ways to give them the hints, but if for some reason that's not landing, if they missed a clue of something, for example, or just at a loss, or I fucked up and, whatever. I've always presented that as an option.
Yes.
To roll your way out of that to get a clue or a good idea of what to do or what something might be based on, No one has ever taken me up on it.
I'll take some notes.
And I've thought about this. I think it's more of, I'm not even sure how to ask that question.
But we have talked about it, and you have heard that from me. I know on more than like 3 or 4 occasions.
Yes.
Because I have reminded you guys, not CJ&M, but you and
me specifically.
Yeah,
yes.
you and Tom, and yeah.
I think I did do something like that with Night Fang on one episodes about the computer specifically. It was asking, like, is there a way I could deduce this in character?
You did, actually. You're right, you did. Good on you. It was just recently.
Yes.
Now that said, to get more to the heart of the question is asked, I think, there is merit in, quote, training wheels games. There's absolutely merit in that. For me, with a brand new group, the first Chronicle is a training wheels game.
Oh, yeah. It should be.
Right. I try to make that a shorter Chronicle because of that, but, your characters are wet behind the ears, your players are wet behind the ears. Let's fucking, put the bumpers in the fucking gutter lanes. And we can remove those in the second Chronicle and things are going to get real. But you've got that safety to learn the world and your place in it.
Why starting from the beginning is a good idea.
Very true, Siege. What's the fucking next question?
And again, thank you, Brother Mouse, for those couple questions there. The next question is, hey, Porter, what are we going to do next time?
Well, I'll tell you what, Daniel. That's a very thought-provoking and good question. I wonder where you got it. Next time, the Dream Chasers as a group will return to finish off these questions in part 2 of Junk Drawer, let's call it part 6. Fortunately, we're out of time for the day, but thank you so much for listening, everybody. CJ, thank you for being here. I hope you'll still be here in like 5 minutes when we hit record again.
And finish off the rest of these questions, because we still got a lot.
Yes, we do. Too many for one episode. So again, thanks so much for listening. Thank you for all your support, everybody. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, keep those claws sharp, and your head in swivel. We'll see you.
Enjoy this, pricks!
Right?
Enjoy this, pricks!
Right?